To our crowdfunding seminar, and this is part of the crowdfunding roadshow. I'm going to introduce to you Fiona Maxwell and our panel. First, I'll introduce the panel briefly. Yeah? Mr. We need Garth. So everybody from the audience, come up to the panel. But Garth Jankovic, I invited people on the panel because everybody here has had some experience with crowdfunding. And I think everybody here might unanimously say it really didn't work all that well for us. So we are here to actually I think, share our experiences to learn what it is we didn't do well and how to do it better. So it does work for us because anybody that was on the Possible gets the Possible emails knows that they just hit 5 million, and so it does work for some. So we've got Garth Jankovic, and he is Garth is a community artist, or a professional artist, a filmmaker, and a teacher. Just briefly, I'm just going to introduce Alan Jr. He's an arts worker and a new media artist. Also Terri, who is an actor, director, and are you the artistic director of the theater in North Queensland? Yeah. And Jeanette Hutchison, who is an independent artist and also, I think, what would be the word, the creator of Art Space, and she's taken over Art Days magazine, too. So, quite busy. Sounds nice. But we're very lucky to have Fiona Maxwell with us, and Fiona's the manager of the Queensland office of ArtSupport. Hi, Helen. Fiona joined ArtSupport Australia in 2010 after a highly successful career as executive director of Melbourne's Next Wave Festival. She was introduced to ArtSupport Australia, gaining skills and confidence to develop a donor program, and saw private giving to the Next Wave Festival increase their turnover by 10% in the first 18 months of the program. She's been on many boards. She is the founding chair of the Theatre Network Victoria. In 2006, she was awarded the inaugural ABAF Margaret Lawrence Bequest Scholarship, and she grew up in far north Queensland. She has family in town, so all this life is here. I think those of us who have arts organizations have been mentored by Fiona for the last 2 years, and she's been great support. She's very bright, a lot of knowledge, very articulate, and will be an excellent speaker. Fiona Maxwell.
Cool. All right. Do you want me to use the microphone, or you can break it out?
Would you like her to use the microphone?
So yes. No. All right. Well, if I suddenly start slurring and getting quieter, just yell. We've been doing this crowdfunding roadshow all around the country, and my colleagues Caroline and Bledsoe put it together. And when I think the ad went out, I think Vicky and Lorna and some other folks kind of said, "Oh, when are you coming to Townsville to do that?" So this is the sort of slightly condensed version of their presentation, which gives you sort of some of the backgrounds and the basics and that sort of thing around crowdfunding. And then we've got this fabulous panel of local experts to give a bit of a rundown on what they've learned from their experiences. And then I think the great thing about having a nice small group tonight is we can sort of, get into some particular Q&A and discussion about what's going to work locally and how to support each other in what you're trying to achieve. So, Caroline and Elliot are much quicker than I, so they've done this quite complex presentation with like 400 slides, but I'll try and sit through them really quick. So, why crowdfunding? There's been this massive interest in crowdfunding in recent times. Barack Obama's election campaign was hugely crowdfunded, and I think that was the beginning of the real sort of surge This is not necessarily about reducing government funding or an alternative to government funding, and with my sort of vaguely Australia Council hat on, that's not what it's about. But it's about raising funds on
you guys want to see this, you can sit here and then go back. That's what I was just telling you.
Sam.
You're going to miss this show.
My mum is still correct. Yeah. Oh, there we go. So, it's about raising money through the crowd. This is a conversation about lots of people giving small amounts of money to a creative cause. This isn't about giving online generally, that's a whole other workshop. The thing about crowdfunding is that it's all or nothing. That's the downside and that's the upside. It's about if you set a target, you have to reach that target or you don't get any of the money. 1.5 billion pledged worldwide. That's not all to arts and culture, but that's a whole spectrum of projects, which is fantastic. And it's increased threefold in 2009, and obviously more recently it's continued. Sites like Possible, as we mentioned, we hit the $5 million. So why would you do it? It's down to this guy, Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook. That's why crowdfunding has really taken hold, is because of social media and the phenomena that it brings with it. It's about the visibility of your friends' friends and being able to engage an audience online. So it's quite different in some ways to the traditional means and measures of fundraising. And so I think part of the conversation tonight is possibly also going, well, it's good to know it exists, but it might not be right for me, or it might be as well as rather than instead of. And the reason people do it is because your $20 makes a difference. It's about that small amounts of money. It's not about everyone, the Clive Palmers and the Gina Reinhardts of this world. Much as we'd like them just to crowdfunding because we have some cash. It's about new relationships, growing that cultural giving, and it's it's creating that cultural philanthropy, giving people an opportunity that you can be a $20 philanthropist, that everyone can dive in. So we commissioned QUT to do some research around what motivates crowdfunding to the arts in Queensland, nationally, but QUT based in Queensland. And I think there's some interesting things that come out of that, and that sort of helps people think about, how will they put together their campaign. The main thing is that people give because they know you. They're your family and friends, and they love you, and in some cases they have to support you. They love what you do and what you're hoping to achieve, and they give because they're connected to you. This is either personally or professionally. So there's not a bunch of rich people scouring the internet for projects to give money to. The only people who are going to donate to you are your friends, or best case, friends of friends. They're interested in supporting creative projects. They want to be part of the process. And I think the real difference between crowdfunding and any other kind of fundraising, and it might be a Generation Y kind of thing, is that people do it because they want the kudos. They want to be seen to be supporting community causes. And anyone who spends a lot of time on Facebook will see how that works in that sort of viral way. The flip side of that is, in the research, is why don't people give, or why don't they give more? So one of the things is they can't get a tax deduction, and that's through giving to individual artists, and we can talk later about ways around that if you're an organisation that does have the tax status. One of the big ones is they don't think you'll deliver. So, it's all about how reliable you are. They don't know you, or their friends don't know you. The amount of times people have asked me to give to some random cause, and I'm like, well, I've got no association with this one. Why am I going to support so-and-so's auntie running a marathon? Strangely, there are still people worried about transacting online, whereas, actually it's safer to transact online than it is to give your credit card to someone in a restaurant. So, a bit of a step through the process for how to do it. 3 steps: the plan, the ask, the spread. That's the plan. You can tell a bunch of hipsters put this together. So the first thing is about setting your target. And your target is the amount of money you need to raise plus platform fees. So, none of these websites do this stuff for free, so they all have costs. If you're using an international website, then the currency conversion fees, and the cost of the rewards that you provide to people in exchange for donating. So we'll talk through some of that as we go. It might also be thinking about this as part of a broader fundraising strategy. So I recently worked with an Indigenous architect who had been invited to go and exhibit at the Venice Biennale of Architecture. And he had a $10,000 possible campaign, but that was part of a $70,000 fundraising campaign. We had a bunch of other strategies and approaches, because there was no way we was ever going to raise $70,000 on the possible. When someone told me this is the absolute, the most memorable thing that, if you're going to kind of remember anything or write it all down, this is the trick. So it's how you can calculate how much you might raise is if you took all your friends and all your social network, all your email network, you might expect 10% of them to donate. The average donation in crowdfunding is $30 to $50, so for argument's sake, let's say $50. So, 10% of friends times my average of $50 is what you might expect to raise. So there's no point in sitting there going, we need to raise $50,000 if you don't have whatever that works out to be 200,000 friends. Caroline, who put this presentation together, is incredibly popular. So this is her. She's got 1,300 friends, 600 Facebook friends, 200 Twitter followers, and 500 email contacts. And this is de-duped, so they're not the same people in three places. 10%, average of $50, she could expect to raise $6,500 in a campaign. The other way to look at it is if you say, well, my project's got a budget of whatever, divided by 10% of your database shows how much you might need to raise from each individual. So using Caroline's friends again, if her budget was $10,000, 10% of her budget means she would need to raise $77 per person, which would really be pushing it, given that we know that the average donation is $30 to $50. So, that's a pretty good process to go through when you're thinking how much might I raise. The next step is looking at the time frame, how long. The world of social media, the world of the internet, longer is not better. Making your campaign go for 90 days doesn't mean you're going to earn more money. The best campaigns are 40 to 50 days, and there's a process to constantly updating, constantly being in touch and keeping it constant. If you spend any time on Facebook, if you go on Facebook in the morning, there'll be 10 news stories in 4 hours' time, let alone by the end of the day. So, it's about being really constant and updated. Just another example, the Emerging Writers Festival, who are a little itty-bitty Melbourne organisation, had a $4,000 target. They ran a 21-day campaign, and their project was to run a mini conference in Brisbane about digital writing. They have 100 pledges, and they reached their goal of $1,055. So that's just another example. Choosing a platform. So the platform is the website that you go through in order to facilitate the donation process or the pledging process. I don't want to kind of overwhelm you with a gazillion different options, but just to say that there are a gazillion different options. And, some are international, some are local, some have different fees or different pros and cons. Some are more sort of social projects, international aid projects, that sort of thing. But really, I guess, for the purposes of today, the best one to think about is possible, Australian-based. There's a real person at the end of the phone who can give you phone support. Their fees have dropped down to 4% if you say that you're working with ArtSupport. You can get that discount rate, or through lots of service organisations or whatever can access that discount rate on behalf of their members. It's full of other creative projects, so you're there with like powers. Still with me? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so the next thing is the rewards. So I guess the big thing about crowdfunding is it's not, even though I keep saying donations, it's not donations. It's ultimately a sponsorship relationship. People are giving you cash in exchange for something. Even if it's the $10 you get a kiss, or the $20 you get a postcard, or whatever. I donated something recently where I was meant to get a kiss for my $10 and I still haven't got it, so I'm sort of, we've got to cash in on that. So, and for that reason there are two types of pledges. There are people who pledge for the sake of it. Actually, I don't really need a kiss, I just wanted to support that project. But there are others who are pre-purchasing something. So whether that, and that's quite common in the music industry, that pledges of $100 will get an advance copy of the CD, or of the artist's book or whatever else. And one of the biggest crowdfunding campaigns on Kickstarter was like a plastic watch band that you could put your iPod Nano into, and so if you pledged whatever it was, $100, you got a limited edition collar of this watch band. So that's some of the motivations. But I guess unless you're developing something for an eye product, the best approach is to keep it personal. So if you're a violin player, for example, it might be to give a private show to some of your donors. But it needs to be realistic. There's no, if you say I'm going to give a private show for $25 donations, you can be giving an awful lot of private concerts. And they should be creative. Lots of people get tickets or postcards or whatever. So thinking of other things or other incentives. And things that don't cost the earth. One of my colleagues recently in Darwin for a crowdfunding campaign that a music ensemble was doing up there was, I think it was for a $200 donation, she got a private cello lesson. And, Gillian was really delighted with that. And so she had planned not to give that much, but when she saw that it was, for $200, that's what she would get. She was just chuffed. And, she's been all over social media since with photos of her and her cellos. So it's really important to choose your levels. You don't want to overwhelm people with a million different reward choices, the $20, $25, $30, $35. You want to just sort of have 5 or 6 type things. And thinking about that upselling, that whole McDonald's phenomenon, something that sounds really great, but pushing that bracket. So, some of the stats that have come out of the big sites, crowdfunding sites in the States, campaigns with the $25 perk raise 35% more than those without. So that's an easy one to do. $100 perks raise more money than any other perk level, which is interesting. And impossible, the larger amounts sort of cap out at about $700 to $900. So there's no point in having rewards for $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, because that doesn't tend to be the sort of the level of support that people give over the internet. Stage 2 is the ask, and that's really crafting why people should support you, why this project, how are you going to pull it off. Defining the project, it's about being really specific. Whether it's a multi-stage project, another way to approach this, if you've got a really big target, is actually to break it down. So if you're wanting to make a short film and you think it's a $10,000 budget, you might actually do a crowdfunding campaign for the filming stage, then a few months later for the editing stage, and then a few months later for the distribution stage. And obviously you've got something to show people at each step of the way. And it's quite common for people to donate again to things they've already supported along those lines, rather than sort of hitting people at day one with $20,000 and then going, actually, I don't know, just put something to it off. And finding ways to make it appeal to more people than just digital names. I was talking to a group the other day who put their campaign up there, and it was like they'd written a grant application. It started with a bunch of acronyms and dates and terms and whatever, and I'm like, come on guys, you've got to make this personal, you've got to make this compelling. I want to see people's names, and really make people feel like they know you. The video is absolutely essential. Anyone can get hold of an iPhone and make a video, so really, I would recommend doing a campaign without one. In fact, the statistics say that campaigns with a video raise 122% more than campaigns without video. And authenticity is key. It can be something you can do on an iPhone. It doesn't need to be a fully edited bells and whistles sparkly kind of thing. 3 minutes max. Needs to be authentic, needs to have people in it. And this is hopefully any video we do that in our project lead. And really important, with any of these things, spend some time looking on the internet. Look at other crowdfunding campaigns that interest you. Put $5 in here or $20 in there. Donate to some different things. Get a sense of how you're treated. Get a sense of how you'd like to be treated, and therefore how you're going to treat your donors. Do the rewards come through? Are there updates? I often donate to campaigns at the beginning to see what kind of follow-through there is in terms of some of the media and that sort of thing. So that's really important to sort of experience how the experience is going to be. The spread is a really key thing. Where they got these pictures from. It's really about you need to reach all of your networks first before you're likely to reach strangers. You need to get to 25% of your target before strangers, and this isn't like complete random people off the street, this is friends of friends kind of strangers, are likely to start donating. Because why am I going to donate to your auntie's marathon running if I don't think that you're supporting first? And so to that end, don't wait to donate yourself. Get your friends, relatives, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, they're ready to donate so that you hit the ground running. Day one should not be, we've gone live and we're at zero. It's we've gone live and we're already at $500. This must be a great project. You want to see it. It's incredibly embarrassing to look at projects that are sort of a third of the way through and they're still at zero. And I'm like, come on, you could have found $25 to put it yourself. It all seems logical, but that's important. And you need to have a social media game plan. When we sort of saw before that breakdown of who Caroline's friends were, it's email, it's Facebook, Twitter, blogs, using the ambassador capacity, getting friends who've donated, because when you donate through Possible using your Facebook login, then it comes up on your Facebook profile, and so that's going to inspire other people. Getting out there on the blogosphere in sort of related fields or blogs. One of the great examples, looking at celebrity endorsement, there was a particular crowdfunding campaign that an Australian artist did, who, I can't remember who she got now, someone silly like Charlie Sheen or someone to retweet her Twitter tweet. And so she, it went out to 500,000 people. There's a whole lot of garbage out there on Twitter, but that's some pretty serious promotion. So thinking about those things, but also thinking about some of the just old school publicity strategy. You don't put on a theatre show or an art show and just wait for people to come. You're calling the media, you're calling the local paper, you're cross-promoting in each other's newsletters, all of those things. You've got to be absolutely constant the whole way through. And the thing about crowdfunding campaigns is there's a flurry of activity at the beginning, then there's this real slump in the middle, and then there's this flurry at the end. So it's thinking of things that you can be doing in that plateau in the middle to keep people interested. It might be a media appearance, it might be an event, it might be updates. I supported a circus project recently, and so for their updates, they were putting photos of the rehearsals up in the update section. I heard about another project where they actually just had a regular old-fashioned fundraising party, but they had people going around with iPads at the party so that you could donate through the Possible campaign there and then. In this day and age, I'm a bit old, but that's totally possible and totally cool thing to be thinking about doing, to keep it moving and keep it alive. And that's the same with the updates. There's an update section to the Possible site, so continuing to populate that and fill it in. Another helpful statistic: an update every 5 days, they reckon, doubles your money. So, for the sake of finding something to talk to the social media world about, that's pretty good. The flip side of that is not driving people crazy. I was sounding desperate or whatever else. So it's about having people, other voices, unique approaches. There's a great campaign up at the moment, and everyone who donates, I don't know if it's every single person, or maybe people at a certain level, they're doing a great photo, and so they did one today where the 3 girls who run this artist space on the Gold Coast, they've all laid down on the ground, traced around themselves with chalk and written with chalk, thanks Mary Jane for your donation, and put that up on Facebook. So each day, or with each donation, there's a different artistic response. And at the end of the day, you guys are all artists, you should be able to come up with creative solutions to this stuff. Using multimedia side of things once again. And it doesn't always have to be about we need more money. It can be about progress updates or, here's something new that we want to communicate. I saw someone recently do, in the slump time, a limited edition t-shirt as a reward that you could get for 3 days if you donated at that time. So that was a good incentive. Don't stress out. You can raise 50% in the last 3 days if you really give it a good go. But you need a team around you. You need those ambassadors. When you get over the line, really important to thank people. Lots of shout-outs. Tell people what their support means. You can go crazy and annoy people in those last few days. 5 days to go, 4 days to go. And from there. And then when you make it, thank people. Don't forget to send out those rewards. There's a few rewards that I'm still waiting on. That's all right, I know they did the project, so that's what counts. And interestingly, when you don't make it, there are other solutions. One of the projects that I worked with in Brisbane was a 3 little kids play on Twitter, and it was I think a $2,000 campaign, and got to about $1,500. Wasn't going to get it over the line, so his mum tipped in the sort of remaining amount. Obviously, if you've got a $10,000 target and you've only reached $1,500, your mum's not going to tip in the remaining amount. But if you're getting really close, have someone on standby with a credit card ready to finish it off. You can always pay them back. In fact, interestingly, Possible noticed that this had happened, and they offered not to take the donation out of his mum's credit card. So all worked fine. So that's an incredibly high-speed rundown of crowdfunding, 101 plus. The Australia Council has just put all their crowdfunding resources online today. It's australiacouncil.gov.au/crowdfunding, and also I can send a link to give you a minute to send it around, because there is the longer version of this presentation. I think the one that did in Penrith, they've got as a video, and then there's all sorts of articles and tips and the research from community and that sort of thing. So, probably now is a good opportunity to hear some of the local stories.